All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much again for joining me this evening. My name is Rebecca Van Reine. I am the coordinator for student support and mentoring here in Round Rock ISD. And one of my big hats and big roles is being the coordinator for all of the district programs for Avid. I have been in education for 22 years, and 21 years of my 22 years, I have been affiliated with Avid in some way, shape, or form. I started as my second year as a teacher a very long time ago, in which I was invited to be part of the Avid site team. So every Avid campus has a group of teachers and educators who are supporting the work with Avid. And I fell in love with it, fell in love with the program and what it stood for and how it advocates for students. So here I am, however many years later, I have gone down the road of being an assistant principal. I have previously been a middle school campus principal and am now in a spot that I love because I get to support students pursuing their college dreams. My other hat is I'm also over the mentoring program. So we do have a mentoring program here in the district as well. So this session is setting your sights on college, learn how Avid can help. And I'm going to have a couple people popping in, and I'll just have to keep allowing people in. If you do need subtitles that are in another language, you are able to put on those subtitles and translate that to a preferred language if you would like. I'm going to leave that there for just one more minute, just because we had a few other people hop in. And so let me just give it just one more second. Of course, subtitles are not required. You don't need that for this session, but just in case you need that. So again, welcome. Again, I'm glad that you're here this evening. My name is Rebecca Van Reine, and I'm the district coordinator for Avid. So this time, I am going to go ahead and show a short little video that our seniors of the class of 2020 from Round Rock High School put together about their experience and their perspectives with Avid.
I was diagnosed with severe procrastination and unorganization disorder. The doctor said I would never get anything done ever again. That is, until I took Avid.
Avid is a program designed to improve the habits of students. Avid helps any student work towards their ideal college while gaining knowledge towards things such as note-taking, public speaking, organization, quick thinking, and teamwork.
I joined Avid in my freshman year. It's helped me to understand topics of confusion and improve my basic skills. The Avid program took me from this to this. During my time in the Avid class, I've grown as a person. The difference is unbelievable.
In the Avid program, our classes focus on the tutorial process. In order to complete a tutorial, you must fill out a tutorial request form, also known as TRF. These forms help guide discussions during tutorials.
The tutorial process has allowed me to learn new information that I can use for my other classes. In order to complete the process, I must state my point of confusion, my work, and how I completed it. The process ends with a written reflection.
The Avid program has a heavy focus on organization using the Avid Binder. The Avid Binder is provided to students with the provided organizational equipment, such as pens, pencils, dividers, and a pencil pouch. Your binder is checked once a week in order to stay up to date and organized.
The Avid program has helped me remove stress and clear up my day. Now, I spend time with my friends and my Avid family.
Side effects of the Avid program include higher grades, better organization, note-taking skills, a close family, getting into a good college, writing, critical thinking, teamwork, and reading skills.
Avid.
So I love that little video that our seniors put together. It just gives a really high level but fun overview of the Avid program. So really, what is Avid? So if you were here this evening, And I'd love to see if you just drop it in the chat real quickly. If you'll just let me know that whether or not you're attending because you saw the presentation on the parent and family seminars or webinars, or if you were invited from a campus. So just let me know a little bit about how you found out about this session and got an email. Great, thank you. I know some of our campuses have specifically sent out some invitations and then just general. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Got an email as well. Email from Chisholm Trail. Awesome. Okay, fantastic. Great. Well, we're so glad that you're here. We've got a lot of personal invitations, which is fantastic. We also have some additional families who may have just heard about the presentation through our weekly or monthly presentations that we have. So what is Avid? If you're here this evening, your student is probably in 5th grade all the way up through 10th grade. We do offer Avid, the Avid program for 6th grade through senior year of high school. So Avid is an elective class that prepares students with high academic potential for success in high school, college, and careers. And so our goal and our focus for Avid is to prepare students both on the skill side, the social emotional side, and with those academic skills, not just to get to college, but also to be successful once they are in college. So currently, these are the campuses that we will have middle school programs at next year. We will have a middle school program at City Folks Middle School, Chisholm Trail Middle School, Hopewell Middle School. Those are our current campuses that have established programs. And we are in the planning phases for both Deer Park and Grisham Middle School for the fall. We also have Avid at our high schools, at Cedar Ridge High School, Early College High School. If your student ends up going to Early College High School, all students at Early College High School are part of the Avid program. We have a strong program at McNeil High School as well, Round Rock and Stony Point. Stony Point next year will just have Avid for incoming 9th graders and 10th graders. And they're growing that program back. So first of all, I saw a lot of the responses in the chat were from middle school students or students who are coming either currently in middle school or coming into middle school. So one of the questions in transitioning from elementary school to middle school and then from middle school to high school is, what are some of those changes in my day and my expectations? And then more importantly, how does Avid help with that? So first of all, in high school, we do have those A and B days. So you might be transferring from middle school to high school. We did have A/B days last year in middle school because of the COVID environment and our virtual learning environment, and have gone back to the traditional day. There's 8 different teachers, right? Whereas in elementary school, we have fewer teachers. And in middle school, we have those 8 different teachers like we do in high school. The classes are harder. They get increasingly harder and more rigorous. The pace can be faster, especially as we are in those advanced classes, those college credit bearing courses, or those advanced courses. Students have more elective choices to choose from and lots of different opportunities to get involved in clubs and things that they are really interested in. As we get into high school, there's more of a focus on GPA, or your grade point average, those averages of those core grades, and also the campuses get increasingly larger, right? So there's lots of opportunity for great things to happen, but then also some places where students might appreciate and need a little bit more support. So how can Avid help? Avid can help students navigating those more rigorous and more challenging environments by providing students with support for organization and time management. I'll be honest, I personally think that every single middle school student should be in Avid. However, with our Avid elective program, we only have a certain amount of classes for students who are invited into that program. So students get support and help with organization and time management. And they're not just taught at one time, but they are taught the skills and then reinforced as they learn and really develop those strategies and skills. Avid can help with focusing on strategies to tackle rigorous coursework. Again, we want our students to be prepared to be successful in college, not just get to college. Getting to college is important, but the key part of the middle school Avid program is really developing those academic skills, how to think critically, how to write critically, how to engage in Socratic or in critical dialogue, and then also how to develop those collaboration skills that are really important. And of course, same focus for high school as well, but in high school, we're also looking a little bit more at supporting access or how we really learn in harder and more challenging classes. Avid can also help because for a lot of our students in Avid, it provides that school family. A lot of times our Avid students call their Avid teachers their school mom or their school dad. Those are the staff members who are on their side. They're their advocates. They're going to challenge them to pursue their dreams and those goals to get to college. So again, we talked about the focus of the Avid elective class on building those skills and developing the behaviors that lead to academic success. One of the things that's really important to note about the Avid program, since our goal is to get students to be ready for college, is that students are required to take an advanced class in their schedule. So in middle school, that might look like the accelerated math class. It could be a world language that's taken for high school credit. It could be a different class in the middle school that you can get high school credit for. I know some of the schools started offering an ethnic studies course that is a high school credit class that can be considered an advanced course and in our advanced U.S. history as well. At the high school level, those are our advanced courses that lead up to the AP courses, which is advanced placement, which you can earn college credit for when you're in high school. Our dual credit classes, which you also can earn college credit for in high school. Our on-ramps courses, which you, again, can earn college credit courses for in high school or even IB. Because we are expecting students to take these more rigorous courses, there's actually tutorials built into the Avid elective class. So students who are in the Avid elective class will receive time each week in the tutorial environment. And it's not a traditional tutoring where the teacher is kind of telling you what to do, but it really is a group of students who are led by a tutor through the critical thinking process to help them understand what they do know and what they don't know to help transfer that learning. There's also direct instruction and practice for note-taking skills, which we're finding now in the virtual learning environment. Our students are struggling with how we take notes and how we process our notes and own our own thinking in our classes. We talked about organization strategies. One of the things our kids love about the Avid program is that each year students get to go on college field trips. So that might be going to visit college campuses. It might be going to a college fair where they're getting to meet a bunch of different representatives from different colleges. Most often, they're college visits and just different types of colleges. We have some schools that go and do a visit at A&M, in College Station, or Texas State. They might go to Concordia, which is a private school, a small private school. And so those college campus visits really help expose students to the different types of schools, the size, the feel, and they get to learn a lot about the different environments to help them really find the best fit for them when it comes to college. And then part of the curriculum, in addition to those skill building areas we already talked about, is really exploring different careers in colleges. Again, really helping students come and own their future goals and their college journey. So you might be a student here this evening, or you might be thinking about, well, that sounds like a really great class. Is that a class that could be for my student? Would this be a good fit for my student? So the Avid elective class is really intended for our students who are academically in the middle, right? The students who, work really hard, but might be getting B's or C's and getting B's or C's in classes. And again, because there's that built-in support, these are students whom we know and that can be successful in college, but they just need that extra support. So students who want to be challenged, it might be someone who's been the first person in their family to go to college one day. They might be a student who just has some severe organizational issues and time management skills. That's creating an obstacle for them to really demonstrate how successful they can be in those challenging classes. Avid students might be underrepresented in college, or might even be our English language learner students. Really, any student who has that potential to be successful in those advanced classes wants to go to college, but maybe has some different obstacles or challenges to getting there. And I really like to explain that that my student, actually my son, would be an Avid student. So even though I'm a professional educator, I've been a principal of a school, I have a college degree and a master's degree, which on the surface level doesn't look like he would fit any of those circumstances. However, I'm also a single mom. He is a high-level athlete with a lot of demands on his time. He is very disorganized. And even though he's really smart, he gets B's and C's in his advanced classes because it's all the other obstacles that prevent him from being really achieving his potential. My daughter, on the other hand, school is her thing. She's just gifted differently than my son is. And in sixth grade, she is so organized, manages her time pretty well for a 12-year-old, very driven to get those super high grades in really challenging classes. So she actually would not be a fit for Avid. The supports that Avid provides would not necessarily be the right choice for her. So even as one mom, I've got one student who would be an Avid student who would benefit from the Avid program, and one who really that's not the best fit for that student. I also wanted to mention that Avid is great for students who could really benefit from that guidance at school to become college ready. So beyond the skills, like helping navigate that college entrance process. It's really important that we talk about what Avid is not. Avid is not a study hall. Avid is not a free period. So this is not a place where students just go and get to catch up on their homework. If a student goes into Avid thinking that's what it is, they're going to be frustrated because that's not what Avid is. So it's not a study hall, it's not a free period, and it's not an intervention class. So there are different intervention classes on the campus if your student does struggle in certain areas academically. But Avid is not designed to meet those needs. It is a rigorous course that's meant to prepare students for college and post-secondary readiness, and really focused on developing the skills in the area of Wicker and a supportive family with lots of fun. Wicker just stands for different instructional strategies that students learn in the classroom. So that W is writing, the I is inquiry, the C is collaboration, the O is organization, and the R is reading. Those are instructional strategies that are embedded not just in the Avid classroom, but across the campus. And our kids love Fun Fridays. As part of the Avid program, students on Fridays engage in different collaboration activities. They have guest speakers who come and talk about different careers and different aspects about going to college. They might have a college admissions representative come and talk in a really small environment in their class about the admissions process to college. They engage in really fun team building games as they build that solid community, supporting each other towards their goals. We mentioned the college career field trips. Again, an opportunity for not just students, but also for parent chaperones to accompany and go on these college field trips. So I've gone through a lot. So I want to take a pause real quick and see if we have any questions about what Avid is, whether or not Avid might be a good fit for your student. And then we'll go forward and talk a little bit more about, well, how I think Avid would be a good choice for my student. So where do we go from here? How do I get my student into Avid? So do we have any general questions about the Avid program or who might be a good fit for Avid? And you can put that in the chat, or you can come off mute and ask your questions. How does Avid fit into the class schedule? That's a great question. So in middle school and in high school, I don't know what grade your student currently is right now, but students will have, in middle school, they have 7 classes. So they have their 4 core classes that are required, PE, fine art. They have some choices over their elective classes. And so one of those elective classes in their schedule would be the Avid elective class. So if your students have already filled out their choice sheets, requesting their courses for next year, that is okay. If your student is accepted into the Avid program, then the counselor at their school will work. The counselor at their school will discuss with that student what elective class they put on their choice sheet that they would want to drop in order to take the Avid elective class. I saw another question. Lots of really great questions. So I've got another question about, will students who want to join be accepted or limited? So there is an application and interview process in order to get into the Avid program. And that's really just to make sure that, that the students who are applying are going to benefit the most from the program. There are maybe one campus right now that I can think of that would maybe have to limit the students that they have just because they have so many students applying to the program, but they only have so many seats or so many spots in the classes for the students to take the course. So aside from that application and interview process, we really try to do a good job of informing and inviting students who can benefit from the program. So I can't say that all students would be accepted, but most are. And if you have any questions about why your student was or wasn't accepted, then you're welcome to ask the campus coordinator or even myself. So elaborate on Avid may support on the underrepresented in college. So yes, Avid could be a program where if there are students who maybe are African-American or Hispanic males who in college, there are fewer students who look like that student in college, that can sometimes create an intimidating environment. Or students might not necessarily perceive that they should be in that same space. And it may not even be conscious, right? So it might be more like all my friends are not taking the advanced classes, so I want to hang out with my friends. Well, this Avid class creates that friend environment that supports students who really should be taking those advanced classes, really should be pursuing that college space. But maybe they're drawn by their friends who aren't ready to pursue that or don't want to pursue that, but they've got those goals for college. So that's what we mean by underrepresented in college. Really just when you look at demographics, just numbers, that's who that environment can serve because it creates that safe space where they receive that encouragement to pursue their college dreams. My student gets A's and B's, can Avid still be a good fit? That's a great question. And I think that might be something I would encourage you to talk about one-on-one with your students' teachers because I don't know your students specifically. And if it's like a 5th grade student earning A's and B's, or if that's an 8th grade student who's in advanced classes earning A's and B's, my guidance on that would be if there's a special circumstance going on with a student who's already really strong academically, right? Maybe the student is getting A's and B's, but they have to really, really work hard. And we see that there's an obstacle along the way right now that we're really concerned is going to make it very difficult for that student to be able to continue to achieve their goals and move towards that. The example that we have given before is that we had a student who in the past who was doing fine, had A's and B's in classes and things like that, and maybe Avid wouldn't have been on the radar for that student. But then the student's parent came down with terminal cancer. And so there was a lot of extra time and extra obligations and duties that the student had outside of school that created a unique obstacle for that student to continue to pursue their college goals. So I hope that that answers that question, Rose. If you have additional questions, I'm happy to help you with that at another time. In high school, can students take some years but not all 4? It's a great question. So we expect that students, when they enter into the AVID program, are really going to continue the AVID program through their senior year, because that's where they get the most benefit. There's a different set curriculum each year, specifically in high school, that's really geared towards that whole college going process. So if we start working backwards with senior year, right? So senior year is all about getting the college applications in, applying for scholarships, and then just like real life, like how do we do life outside of high school, as well as continuing to develop those critical thinking and critical writing skills that make them successful in college. Junior year, so if we just go backwards, junior year is really fine-tuning our college search. We're doing SAT prep. We actually do the SAT prep, Princeton Review prep course in their junior year to help prepare them for taking the SAT and doing well on those exams. And if it's continuing to focus on not just how we get to college, right, but also the right fit and of continuing to develop those academic skills. Freshman and sophomore year are really focused on transitioning to high school and developing, again, the skills that are needed to be successful in those really rigorous courses in high school, as well as starting to get into the college investigation space. So there's a really specific curriculum for each of the 4 years, and students really benefit from being in that program all 4 years. Where can you access these slides? That's a great question. I would be happy to post these on our website, but it might take me a couple of days. I don't have direct access myself, but I would be happy to put these on the both on the Avid, the district Avid website, which I'm going to take you to in just a moment, but they'll also, since this is a future readiness seminar, these will be available on the future readiness family seminars website as well. Would it be possible for your kid to join in the second year if they're unable to attend their freshman year? Yes, so students can be admitted into the Avid program through like current sophomores. So if your student is a sophomore going into their junior year, that's the last year that we typically admit new students into an Avid program, mostly because there's just a lot of foundational skills that are set before then. There's a lot of catching up to do once you move forward past there. So the answer to that is yes. No, Avid is not available in the summer. It is a year-long elective program. That's a great question. However, we do, and I think Ms. Swain and Mrs. Swain is on the call as well, but we do offer some different supports for students who are going into advanced academics. That might be their first time going into advanced academics. That's not specifically through Avid, but there are different supports that the district does have in place for those students. You're welcome. Do you take Avid for 1 year or for the rest of middle school, high school? So again, the intent of the curriculum and the program is to support that process all the way through graduation. However, at this point in the district, we want what's best for our students, right? So it might get to a place where there's something going on right now. We provide that support, and students ultimately have that choice, and parents, over the courses that they request on their choice sheet. We do, however, again, because of the purposeful alignment of the whole program, really encourage and hope that students stay for the whole way through. Can I elaborate more on Avid in middle school, the 6th grader going into 7th? Okay, no, should we apply doing closer to high school grades? So I firmly support students joining Avid in the middle school. If your student, especially if your student's been recommended for Avid in middle school, I highly support and suggest that you go ahead and consider applying for that. Avid in middle school is really where, again, like I started out when I started the presentation, I believe that every student in middle school can benefit from Avid. So this is where students are going to get that explicit direct teaching and reinforcement of those strong academic skills that are setting the foundation for their academic career. So those strong note-taking skills, the collaboration skills, the writing, communicating and writing is a huge component. As well as the organization, the time management, and then just the space that they have. I'll be honest, during a really difficult time in middle school, sometimes having that Avid family and having that that environment and that supportive space is really important for middle school as well. So I highly support joining Avid in middle school rather than waiting. And then, Bruce, to answer your question, do you have to apply each year? So when you enter into the Avid program, so I will give you the general program response, but certain campuses, for whatever reason, may do something differently. So I'll just say that up front. But generally, if a student gets into the Avid program in 6th grade, then they would not have to reapply for 7th or 8th grade. They might have to reapply for the high school, because now you've got students coming from 2 different campuses into an Avid program with limited spaces. So so generally you'd apply in middle school and then you would apply again in high school. There may be a reason a specific campus might have students reapply a couple years in a row, but that would be a unique situation to that campus. So expect to apply once in middle school and then again in high school. Great questions. These are all fantastic questions, by the way. Yes, it does take the place of an elective in middle school. So this is an elective choice for students to take. So that's a great question as well. And so when your student is invited into the program or accepted into the program, then the counselor at the school that they will be at or even the school they're currently at, will follow up with them and ask them to make some decisions about which elective class they might want to trade out for the Avid elective class. These are all really fantastic questions. Any other questions? All right. Let me go ahead and tell you what is next, what our next steps are here. Okay, so what happens next? So the next step would be, if you are interested in Avid for your student, you think this really could be a good fit and good support for them as they're building those strong foundation to academic skills. Denise, I'll answer your question in a second. Your student would fill out the Avid application. Okay, and so let me show you where that is. And the only one that I need to reattach is Deer Park. They created a copy of that, so I need to put that on there. So you would go to the Round Rock ISD website, and you would go to the A through Z index, and then go to the Avid website page here. This is the district-wide Avid page. So you can find out some more information. There's some key questions here. But the very last one, how do I apply to Avid? When you click on that plus sign, there is a specific application for each middle school Avid program. So if you know your student's going to go to CD Folks, then you would click on that and you would fill out that application. If you know they're going to go to Round Rock High School, you can click on that link. It'll take you to the Round Rock High School student application. Again, if you are with Deer Park, I need to update their link. They just gave me a new link today, so I need to update that link, and that should be updated by the end of the week. So that is how you access the application. After we get your student's application, and the deadlines will be communicated in an email to your student, then the next step is that the site team will reach out and schedule an interview with your student. So we do interviews with our students because partly we just want to get to know the student. Second of all, because like I mentioned before, this is not a free period. This is a class where students are going to have to do some work to learn and build those skills. And we want to make sure that students have that determination to work hard to be successful in those different spaces. It's also fun. Don't get me wrong. It is very fun. So after their interview, then you would be notified if your student is admitted into the Avid program. I had a couple more questions here. Let me answer those. So does my student need to be enrolled in advanced/high school credit courses in order to be an Avid in middle school? The answer to that is yes. Students are, because we are having students on the pathway to being college ready. We are building those skills early. Students are expected to be in an advanced course that's appropriate for them. There are, at middle school, we have fewer options for students. So there might be a situation where like a lot of our Avid students will take that Avid Excel class their 6th grade year and continue on the advanced math pathway. But we might have a student who math's not their strength, but they're still really can benefit from the Avid program, but maybe their strength is more in humanities and history or languages. So they could take a world language as that advanced class because it's a high school credit course. They also could be on the pathway to take advanced U.S. history their 8th grade year. So as long as there's a plan for those students in middle school to take a rigorous course before they go on to high school, then that is okay. I hope I answered that question all right. What happens if the student decides they don't need the Avid program anymore? Should they stop midway through? So what we would ask really is that the student would, well, part of that process is as we go through the application and interview process, that's one of the things we're looking for up front, is if the student already has a lot of the skills that we're going to be teaching and reinforcing, then we want them to have a different elective, right? The Avid might not be the best fit for your student. If a student really thinks, I really need this course, and they get into the course and then they realize about halfway through, okay, I was doing better than I thought I did, and our process didn't bring that out ahead of time, we wouldn't necessarily ask them to move out at the middle of the year. We would ask them to stay on through the end of the year, and then have some really good key conversations with both the teacher and the coordinator and the counselor to make sure that that the reasons why a student wants to get out are actually supportive of their goals to get to college. Because there might be a student who, gets into it, and then there might be other, I don't know. So we just trying to think of an example, but we usually have students who, as they go into 6th grade, they might be a little intimidated of the middle school environment, and then they really are doing better than they thought they would be. And so that's kind of sometimes what we see, but we would wait until the end of the year before we would move them. Any other questions? Okay, will the work be all of the type of classes, ELA, world cultures, math, science, or one specific? It's a great question. So the work that's done in the class really can span a lot of different topics. Okay, so when students are engaging in the building of those skills, they might be reading an article on maybe, let's just say it's about the current oil prices and the gas prices, right? But they're learning the skills of how to think critically about what they're reading, or how to write critically about what they're reading, that they can then transfer to their specific classes. So sometimes that overlaps and connects to what they're learning in class. And sometimes that's a separate topic, but it's still developing the academic skill. Now, during the tutorial class, during the tutorial time, students are using that time to get extra help specifically on courses or on topics that they are struggling with. So the twice a week tutoring that happens, students bring in a question that they have from their other classes. So they might be stuck on how to solve a math problem and they can get partway through the math problem, but then they're stuck. So they bring that point of confusion to the tutorial time and have their students and the tutor help them think through how to get past that point of confusion. But students identify where they need that help for tutorials. Any other questions? Denise. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, your question back there. So I don't know if they offer Avid in Gerald Middle School right now. The one you can go look that up on their website, or if you need help and you can't find it, if you went and you looked but you couldn't find it, feel free to email me and I can dig a little deeper and see if I can find that for you. Students can, so we can talk a little bit more about that if you need. Our tutors available for non-Avid students. So that again is going to depend on the campus, but our tutorials that we do are very specific to the Avid program and the Avid process. And again, not your traditional tutors. So there might be some campuses where like the National Honor Society students might offer tutorial support, but that's different campus by campus for non-Avid students. That's a good question. Any other questions? All right, so again, here are the campus contacts for the middle school programs. CD Folks is Mr. Beard, Chisholm Trail is Miss Bilski, Hopewell is Miss Morris, Deer Park is Miss Lavati, and then Mr. Ferreira Grisham. We have Sam Groom at Cedar Ridge, Miss Knoll at Early College High School. Again, every student at Early College High School is in Avid, so they don't go through the recruitment process, but once you get into Early College High School, you have that Avid elective class is part of your schedule. And that is to support the students because they are in dual credit classes at ACC from their freshman year. McNeil's Mr. Nguyen, Miss Clement is at Round Rock High School, and Miss Shear at Stony Point High School. So we've gone through a lot of those questions. And again, I am always here to support from the district level. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me at any time. I'm happy to respond and help you through that process. Before we leave, though, I would love to have you either drop in the chat. Denise, I see your hand. Is that another question, Denise, or is that the same question?
Sorry. No, that was the same. I didn't realize it. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine. So I'd love to have you in the chat. Just drop in a quick note of something that you found interesting about Avid or something that you learned or a way that you think Avid could help your student. So if you just want to drop that in there, and then I'll make sure that there aren't any other questions, and we hope to see your families next year in the Avid program. Essay writing support, the website I was talking about, it's the district website. Let me drop that link directly in the chat for you. Wicker strategies, yes. Those are awesome. Okay, I did just drop that, you're welcome, link directly to the Avid website there for you. The organizational skills and note-taking, absolutely. And it supports all the classes. Thank you very much. Yes, Avid does support your student in all their classes. You're welcome. Okay. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to visit with you this evening. And we hope that we will see you next year. Can any student apply at any time? That's a great question. A couple good questions here. So your student can apply, absolutely. It does not have to be by invitation or recommendation. So once students apply, the site team does go through those applications and then invite students to interview and determine whether or not, based on the interview and the application, if Avid would be a good support for your student. So no, you don't have to be specifically invited. Your daughter applied, and when would we hear back if she was accepted? So right now we're in that early process. I would say really in the next month or so, you should hear about an interview. And then after the interview, you'll get notified by email or by letter if she was accepted. And it takes a month because we give a good 3 weeks for students to complete the application, to get those applications in, to follow up, and then have the interview. So if you have any questions, though, if you haven't heard it, obviously you should hear back before a month. How is the interview going to be? So again, different campuses do it differently. Some campuses do those interviews in person, and some might do them virtually. It just depends on what's happening with the campus in the environment that we have right now. So the interview is generally 2 people. It's usually the coordinator or the teacher, and another site team member or administrator. And there's just a few questions that help us get to know the student, their goals for their future, their interest in being an Avid or what they think that's going to be like, why they're interested in taking it, just some general interview questions like that. So it's not as formal as a professional business interview or anything like that. It's just an opportunity for the team to get to know each of the applicants. Excuse me. To get to know each of the applicants. And their needs for support. All right. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you so much for being here this evening. We are ending just a little bit early. Appreciate everyone here. Since Deer Park link is changing, is there another way to apply? If you, so what I would recommend for Deer Park is that Deer Park is actually going to be sending out to any of the students that were recommended or who are recommended. They're going to be sending out that direct link from the campus. So if you were, Mr. Avid, if your student was invited this evening, that means that they were recommended. If not, just shoot me an email and I'd be happy to send that to you as soon as I have that formal link. Is there a deadline for the application? There are different deadlines for the applications depending on the campus. And so I would encourage you to reach out to those campus coordinators. And again, I will post this slideshow on both the Avid website and on the Family and Parents Seminars website. All right, everyone, great and questions. I enjoyed being with you this evening. Thank you so much. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. And of course, if there are any other questions, I'd be happy to help you with that.